But goddamn, get it done, will ya? Woo. When the blow up now, everybody's so unusual with it. Shit. But said times in these rhymes, cause his memories.
Okay guys, welcome back to the channel. So today we're going to be going over about a common problem that a lot of you guys message me every single day asking about, this common problem with your car, and you need to rectify this fault literally immediately. And I mean from all your BMW perspective. It doesn't matter what car you got, whether it's a diesel, whether it's a petrol. You guys know if you let this leak, it will damage your engine. I'm going to show you why that is and what part it is you need to hurry up and get replaced. Now a lot of you would have already had this replaced, but a lot of you still haven't got this replaced, and this will destroy your car and stop your car running correctly, and will put you on low down power as well. So let's go out to the car and I'm going to show you what this part is that you guys need to replace as soon as possible on your BMW. So as you see here guys, we're now with the M52 engine. Now this doesn't just apply for the M52 engine, because there's many other engines that use this one part that can end up destroying your whole engine, which I'm going to show you in a second. So as you know, the M52 ignition coils sit here, all along here, and as you'll see from previously, I've got oil sitting in a little bit in the wells because you couldn't get it out much. Now a common problem for these engines, why people get oil in them, is because of a lot of reasons. One, you have the CCV, which ends up rupturing and end up blowing the valve cover gasket right here, and it also will blow all your gaskets, like your sunpan gasket and everything else. And then a lot of you guys message me saying to me, you've got this oil leak, that oil leak, and you can't figure out how it's happened. You also end up destroying your gaskets on your oil cooler and your oil filter housing gasket as well, from that CCV going bad because of too much pressure in the crankcase. It sends it back through the wrong way when it's meant to return it back to the sump. Now you guys are all asking how you get oil down here. Now as you can see, if that ends up getting into your spark plug bellies as well, which is here between the coil and the spark plug, you'll end up with misfire codes and your car possibly not starting as well. Now another common reason for this is a lot of people, when they go to fill up their oil on the M52, they fill it up and they end up splashing it past the seal, and it ends up dropping down here into here. Now I have cleaned this up many times, and as you'll see, there's no oil over the other side down there. It just seems to still be around there, and I can't get a rag far enough down to actually collect all the oil there. So that's the issue why we can't get in there to do the oil. But as you'll see here, the oil will end up passing and then dropping straight into the spark plug bellies itself. Now a lot of you, this will be normal to have oil down there. A lot of you guys will probably already know. On the M52, you'll get an M52 and you'll notice oil everywhere, and this is the same on the diesel as well. If your CCV blows, you'll end up finding oil in between your injectors and everywhere else on the valve cover itself, which is leaking underneath from people filling up and then splashing it everywhere because they don't tip the oil right. It's a common problem across all engines, but there's one common leak that ends up causing these leaks with the oil everywhere over this engine, and the most notorious one is from here, that Valvetronic motor seal. Now when a CCV blows, it ends up rupturing all the gaskets, which end up causing this to leak, the gasket that this sits on, which end up losing oil and going into here. And not only do you end up with misfires, you end up with vacuum leaks as well, because the gasket is ruptured, causing you to lose pressure, which is normal because your gasket's ruptured. Now the ignition coils are known to get the oil inside them, especially if they leak from here, and what ends up happening, the faster the cams are turning, obviously the oil's going crazy inside the engine, it's being pushed around everywhere, it will leak through this gasket. The faster you go, the more oil will leak down, and the more oil your engine will end up being covered in underneath. As you'll see, my bolts are all new there as well. If many of you guys don't know, from changing the valve cover on this car, all my bolts down there, they're all brand new all along. These are the torque to yield bolts, aluminium bolts, which are all new on this valve cover. But this is a common problem I'm asked about all the time, and the majority of the leak is from that Valvetronic motor seal. But the reason for that Valvetronic motor seal going, and the reason for your valve cover gasket going, the reason you have to change all them gaskets in the first place, is the CCV. Now if you guys changed that early on before all that, your gaskets probably wouldn't fail at all. And the same with the sump gasket, which sits down there and ends up rupturing the sump gasket. Same with the oil filter housing gasket. Majority of the cases, too much pressure in the crankcase from this backing up and pushing it all back in there, and then you guys end up with all your gaskets ruptured, cracked, broken from that CCV rupturing. My best advice on this engine is to change that out so you don't have to worry about changing any of this. Now, I know a lot of you have got low mileage engines, and a lot of you just want to feel comfortable to drive it, but that's simply not the case. If you want to drive this car and enjoy it, do that now, because they are known to blow this gasket, blow that gasket, and even this gasket as well. And that's why when the crankcase ends up with too much pressure, it will push the oil through the eccentric shaft hole, then you end up with oil in there as well. And that's because of too much pressure coming up through the crankcase of the oil, and it ends up passing into your plug itself. So make sure and be careful that you actually go and check all this on your car, because that is a majority of the case of why you end up with oil all over your plugs and everything like that. The next one as well is oil going onto the exhaust manifold, because a lot of you smell oil going into your cabin, and that's from it leaking down here onto the exhaust and being burnt off and smelling the cabin. Again, that's from either this Valvetronic motor seal going onto the engine, touching the hot engine, and again the CCV rupturing all your gaskets. So that will be the cause of the leak and the reason why you're smelling oil burning smell inside the cabin from all these gaskets blowing. And that's not to say this one doesn't fail either. The oil lid which you fill up from, change this one as well at the same time. But as I said guys, the majority of the leaks are from that Valvetronic motor seal. It's very well known, it leaks and slightly past there. This one was changed as well when I've done the valve cover, and it does pass down and end up causing a leak all into here, as you'll see. Like mine, you won't get all the oil out. Trust me on that, it's impossible to get all the oil out unless you've got a little tiny tube to pull it all out. You're not going to get it out, and you won't ever be able to clean there properly. Even with all the ignition coils off and everything, you won't be getting it out unless you've got a pressure washer and you've got the valve cover off. You can pressure wash it and then get it out. That's your only way. But apart from that guys, just make sure you don't have no leak coming from that Valvetronic motor gasket, because that is the main issue. A lot of you message me for asking where your car's leaking from, and it's that. This one all round here, it seals all this, and you've got to think it's a big oval shape. If it breaks that gasket, it's going to leak a lot of oil down, and it will destroy all your ignition coils as well as your spark plugs if it gets in. So I hope that now clears up a lot of things where a lot of you guys keep messaging me and asking me why your car is rough running, misfiring, and why you're losing oil and where your oil's going and why you got oil in your spark plug valleys. This should now clear up all them questions. And like I said guys, a lot of you guys always ask me every day regarding this. There's always someone with this problem out there constantly about why their oil is leaking and where the oil's going. That could be another reason why you're actually burning oil. Your oil is not being burnt off, it's actually being pushed into your ignition coil holes and on your spark plug holes, and it's actually just sitting there waiting for you to take it out to put it back in the engine. So just be aware of that as well. But I hope you guys have enjoyed this video, and I hope this clears up a lot of the questions I get asked daily regarding this one subject about finding oil in your spark plug valleys. Thank you very much for watching this. BMW Dr. Dean here, and goodbye.